Hi, this is Kelly, and I'm here to take a look at the Ocean Dreams, A Mystic Oracle by Danielle Noel. If you've possibly seen other walkthroughs that I've done of some of her decks, and I think I've done a comparison video of some of the variations for the Star Child tarot. And you'll probably know if you've watched any of my past videos that I love the Moonchild Tarot. It's the tarot of Danielle Noel's that I use consistently. I absolutely love it. You can tell because it is not in order and it sits out on my favorites shelf, and I use it a lot for usually healing style readings. So I use it for my Journey with Grief readings. I sometimes use it in Port in the Storm readings. But this is one that I use a lot. I do feel like it is of hers the most balanced for me, and it has that warmer tone that you can see, even though it's the Moonchild, which could be very cool energy, but it actually has a bit of a warmer tone than the pinks and purples of the Star Child Tarot. And so I just love this deck, and it is well loved and well used. I have heard rumor that she is working on a shadow version or something like that of the Moonchild, but anything other than that, has not been confirmed. I will always say that my wish is that we took the Moonchild majors and then made a pip deck, because her pip cards that don't have people in them are absolutely stunning. And you can see this is in order because of the fact that I don't really use it. I would never get rid of it. Like I do, there is something about it that every now and again calls me. But I really prefer the Moonchild. This feels slightly too youthful and something for me, and again, maybe it's the color tones, I'm not sure, but I'm very drawn to the Moonchild. But I love her her pipped cards are absolutely stunning, and that's just my wish. My wish is for Moonchild majors and pipped minors. That is what I would love from her decks. But anyways, my point is, I have several of her decks. I use the Moonchild Tarot all the time. And so when I heard that she was doing a Oracle deck, and it was, it's published by her, it's written and illustrated by her. She has a couple decks, I believe. I know she has at least one that's mass marketed with somebody else. This is not a mass market deck. And so because I'm kind of hit or miss on her decks of what I actually use, I just use the Moonchild Tarot. I was kind of like, I just don't know. My friend picked it up and sent it on to me so that I could use it. So and I will tell you this, that when we'll kind of see which one is going to maybe match with this, I'm hoping that might get me using the Star Child more as sort of a matching, because I can definitely see using this in my Port in the Storm, where I use two decks, a tarot deck and an oracle deck, and I do like matchy decks. Like I use right now a lot the Forhaxa Tarot with the Crow Tarot and the Shining, Silicon Ways Shining Tarot. My brain is blanking, with the Book of the Dead. I do like to kind of have sort of matching decks for that in particular, as well as there's an ancestor reading that I also do with sets, and I could definitely see utilizing this deck in that way. So I'll have to see. I'm guessing Star Child is going to go with it more. But when I opened this up, I was curious about it, but not curious enough to where I wanted to purchase it. I just wasn't sure if I would use it or if it would just end up being something that just didn't work for me. But I will say that I started, when I opened the box, I started going through it, and I instantly was getting hit with all of these emotional reactions and emotional hits to it. It was taking me right out of my headspace, which I'm normally engaged in when I'm first looking at decks. I'm generally very much up in my headspace and my Libra space, and I'm all like, oh, analyzing the card stock, and oh, I like this, and what are they doing with this? And my brain synapses are firing. I get excited about what about the deck, but it's in a headspace for me, and I enjoy that. So that's not a negative to me. But this one was just bam, 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 hitting me all in the water space, in my emotional landscape, and down in that sort of depths in the inner realm and into the watery places of the underworld kind of feeling, is where it was really hitting me at. And so it was already mixed up because it was used, so it wasn't in order. So I went ahead and shuffled it up, pulled a card, and I had literally spent 6 hours driving home yesterday, and the whole time I had been really going over some things, that I wanted to, some changes that I wanted to make, and some, things I just needed to get on track and things like that. And, I just spent a lot of time just really thinking about, how I wanted to proceed forward. And, the card that I pulled just nailed it, like exactly everything that I was thinking about, and the supporting cards were really powerful. And it was just like, okay, well, hello there, Ocean Dreams, Mystic Oracle. Hello there, Danielle Noel. Nice to meet you in a different form, I suppose. So yeah, I put them in order, and so that we can do a walkthrough. Obviously I had to look at a lot of them whilst putting them in order, but I tried to keep the soft gaze, and really just focus on alphabetizing them, so that I could kind of get reactions. But I have skimmed through it, and I have shuffled it and pulled 3 cards from it. And I have to say, I think that some of the reason why I don't really resonate strongly with the Star Child Tarot is that I'm not really into, or drawn to, I guess that's a better way to put it. I'm not really drawn to like Akashic, Lemurian, Atlantean. That's all. I can't even tell you a whole lot about that sort of understanding of the sort of unseen realm, and understanding of information saving. I don't connect in that way in terms of that kind of Akashic record style, or star seeds and those types of things. Again, no negative towards it. It's just not the way that I connect to the collective consciousness and the collective knowledge base, right? For me, it's like literally going into the caves and into the roots in the caves, and into the web, right? The web of weird, and the web that connects everything and all information. There's no time and space. Everything is connected across distance, across time. And so if I need an information upload, I suppose for me it would feel like an upload. But if I need an information download, or I was getting an information download, it would be coming from, a giant web with a colossal dragon at the center of it, or something like that. Like that's how I envision those things, and those that great well of information there, right? So and because her decks are more connected or directly connected into things like starseeds and Akashic records and things of that nature, I think that's why it doesn't necessarily hit me in the same place that it might hit somebody else. However, what I think from what I've looked at this deck already about, or so far, is that for me, her art style and her soul style, because one thing I think that you can't really argue with her decks, is that she puts like herself and her beliefs and her understandings and her energy into her decks. You can tell that she is depicting how her understanding and the way that she frames her understanding of the world. And that's why I think her decks are so powerful, even if you're like me and it's not, I'm going to go more earthy and dirt and crumbly and bones of the earth and rocks and, rock veins and things. If I'm going to go more there, I can still really resonate with how much energy she puts into what she's doing. And so for me, though, the marrying of her art style and her energy and her language around the way that she describes things is perfectly married to his ocean depth theme that this deck is touching on in such a powerful way that it just like perfect. Like when I just started looking, I'm like, okay, this for me is the perfect union of art style and theme, but it's more than a theme because she's just all of her soul and her heart and her understandings poured in there, like with everything else, that it just hits. Like I was really getting hit strong by this one. Oceans are so powerful. Ocean understanding, ocean myth, ocean healing. We are often called, those of us even who don't live by oceans, are often called, feel this tremendous draw and call to oceans or large bodies of water for healing and for connection and for the eternal pull of the waves and the depths. I didn't grow up on the ocean, but I did grow up on a Great Lake, which is not the same thing, but that same, all of the people in my family are called to the Great Lakes, right? We're called when we need healing, when we need restoration, when we need to find our way again. We all make our way back to the waves at the edge of a Great Lake. And again, if you're not in the United States, the Great Lakes are Great Lakes, like they're huge. So there are ships, thousands of ships lost at sea in these Great Lakes. So it has that, again, it's not salt water, it's not the ocean, but it has that same pull. And so, and I definitely do. I always have that pull to run to the ocean, even though, again, I didn't grow up on the ocean. I did grow up on the water, but not on the ocean. So there's something powerful about that. And I feel like she just amazingly taps into it. I know I'm talking a lot without having even opened the box, but welcome. If you're new, welcome to walk through with me. Okay, on the back it says, the Ocean Dreams Oracle is a sacred call to awaken the ancient wisdom within your oceanic heart. Imbued with healing waters and activating portals, the 64 cards and included guidebook are soulfully designed to nurture your daily reflections and inner whispers. And I actually really agree with that descriptive of soulfully designed, because again, I don't think that Danielle Noel's artwork or decks are for everybody, but I do think that her decks are soulfully designed, and I feel like you can feel that, and so I think that's a great descriptor. When you open it up, it says, Eternal Beloved, bless your oceanic heart. Then there were these, I don't know where these would be. I'm assuming these would be at the top if you'd purchased it. You have a note and a signing. Dear Heart, I hope you find this deck to be a nurturing addition to your Oracle collection. Each card is a portal, an altarpiece, and a doorway into the infinite spirit of ocean. Another great way in which I think Danielle knows her work, because I do think her cards, her tarot cards, and then this Oracle deck especially, does have that feeling of being portals, that you really could do a lot of path working. And if you like to sort of enter in, use a card as a portal, I do feel like her work, it really does lend itself to that type of work. May these keys help support your daily reflections with a dose of magic. May your imagination be activated to new depths. May you find renewal, sanctuary, and tender places of illumination within you. And then there is a beautiful card. I feel like this may be slightly too bright. I hope not. I might turn it down and err on the side. These cards are illuminating. They are beautifully illuminating. That's a great way to put it. And so it may be messing with my light, because see how you can see that a little bit better. So I may need to turn that down, but we'll finish where we're at right now. Although it's really beautiful to kind of see that. That does feel like a prismatic. It's not. This is just my lighting bouncing off of it. But there is a message to Mother Ocean. I open my heart to your deep mysteries and tender revelations. May I find soothing comfort in your waves and shores. May your waters help clear out my stagnant energies within my mind, body, and spirit. Thank you for always guiding me towards calmer waters. Thank you for holding me in place when life feels overwhelming. May your waters anoint all that I do with your sacred wisdom, and may you be blessed with healing, protection, and endless love in return. Which I do really love, right? Because it's gaining healing from the ocean, but it's also sending that same blessing and healing and protection back to the ocean, right? Because I do a lot of ancestor work, and I don't believe that it's one way. I don't think I just get guidance from the ocean of my ancestors, but that I provide healing and can do. I'm supposed to do the work of giving that back. So that has that feel to that I really love. So those are kind of two. They're the same cardstock and things as the cards, but like kind of art cards, I suppose. There is a beautiful guidebook. If you look at her guidebooks from her older decks to the Moonchild is quite beautiful as well. And then to this one, like you can really see an improvement in her, not that they were bad or anything, but this is really a beautiful guidebook. And I have to say that the writing that I've read so far, I have also really enjoyed. So we'll take a look at that in a second. The cards are alphabetized. There's no numbers on them, which is kind of interesting and nice as well. Although I often prefer numbers when I'm having to put them back in order. But in terms of looking at each one of these as an individual altar piece or portal to enter into, it does lend to that feeling that each one kind of can stand on its own even as you use it together in a reading. So I actually do love that, but it is at least alphabetized all in one, so easy to find the card that you have pulled as well. You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop, by Rumi. She has a quote there. I do want to read this right here, not the whole thing, but again, you can skip forward. I must be a mermaid. I have no fear of depths and a great fear of shallow living. Anais Nin. Why are so many of us so deeply called to the sea? Is it because it mirrors our own origins in those amniotic waters that once cushioned us into life? Or is it because it reflects the very makeup of our blood and bones, a salty potion of light codes that were seeded into our earthly forms? The ocean is the lifeblood of our planet and an ancient living library. Often described as the Great Mother, it is also a most powerful and mysterious place, like the vast expanse of cosmos that float beyond this earthly plane. The sea is a multiverse of many life forms and unseen realms. Truly, we have barely even begun to scratch beneath its surface. From the sparkling shores above to the deepest, darkest voids below, we still have so much to learn from its eternal voice. And I just think that's beautiful. The ocean is a map of endless, infinite outcomes and potentials. It is an unpredictable dimension of familiar waters that we often covet with longing, even though it also hosts chaos and the power to destroy us. It is to be feared and respected as a powerful creator of life that can also extinguish and transform. It's just really beautiful. Our bodies are made of the same elements as salt water. Our bones are formed from the atomic combustion of stars. When we bring awareness to our relationship with the sea and our universe, this activates a natural mechanism in our subconscious to awaken us even more. Through these oracle cards, I want to express the ties that bind us to the multiverse beneath the surface, how it can teach us to live more fully and intentionally because we are so profoundly interconnected. This deck serves as a gentle reminder and a helpful guide. It is my love letter to the ocean pieced together from my watery heart. It's beautiful. The book is written really beautifully. Again, I haven't yet read it cover to cover, but I have read a number of the cards and in the midst of a reading as well. And I find it really quite lovely. Talks about reading the transmission, 1 card readings, 3 card readings. It gives you a couple spreads, an inner water spread, which I'm excited to do, a soul spiral that's tapping into ancestral messages, which I love, a portal, a reading, a dream, and a dream reading. She goes into utilizing it for ritual work, creating an altar, casting a circle, closing a circle, doing clearing rituals, lunar rituals, star water rituals. So you have a nice little chunk at the beginning giving you some base information. And then most of the book is giving the cards themselves. Now, as soon as I saw, okay, we're back to the again. It sounds terrible, and I really don't mean it that way. Like I'm thinking, okay, we're back to like Star Season Akashic Records, and I'm like, it's just not my thing. Is this going to be a deck that I'm going to utilize because it has that? However, I did have sort of a aha moment, right, on this one by when I was reading this, because I came to that understanding that this is just the web for me. The Akashic records, when I see that, or Akashic waters in this case, I have to just take that as to me and that feeling of dropping into an dark ocean of stars that is deep under in a cavern, because that's how I would see sort of connecting to a library. Now, this is what she writes here. So Akashic Waters is the cards. I'll give you an example of the guidebook. Akashic Waters is, look at that. I mean, it's beautiful. Yeah, let me turn this down. I really do feel like, let me pause for a minute. Okay, I want to kind of err on it being maybe a little too dark just so that you can see, because her images are so gorgeous that with that light there, I really wanted to make, and again, we're going to zoom in and look at these closer, but I did want to kind of err on it being slightly dark so that you could see it very well. So here we have the Akashic Waters, and it says, timeless wisdom, past life recollection, activating dormant magic. I see beyond this earthly plane. I am multidimensional. I am open to new waves of information. I am always able to tune into my higher self. The Akasha, also known as the Akashic Records, is an ancient etheric library of wisdom that has been revered throughout the ages. Some see it as a living database that coexists with every soul, creature, and world across our universe, like a beautiful song expressing each of us as individual notes. Like a beautiful story with a capital S, in which we are individual pages or chapters or stories within, right? This library also functions as a sacred container where every thought, word, action, and emotion that has ever existed since time immemorial is recorded. That's just the strands of the web for me. It's the same thing, right? Here, the rules of time do not apply. Therefore, all information from the past, present, and future is accessible. Agreed. We rarely see with just our eyes. As energetic beings, our deeper sensitivities may ignite new memories or dormant abilities within us. We are conduits for many frequencies and reflections of the unseen. As intuitive creatures, we may also discern the language of our spirit through symbols, dreams, and the living archetypes we encounter. Perhaps there are patterns that call out to you now. That's a transmission, is what she's calling it. And then we have a question. What can I learn from my own Akashic records at this time? And then there's an illumination section. You are being invited to explore the ever-evolving wisdom of your own Akashic records, to open your mind to new possibilities through exploring the many pages of your soul book. To do this, you may begin with setting an intention for how you would like to dive in. Take note of any questions you may have. From here, devote some quiet time where you may enter a receptive state. Meditation and deep relaxation are wonderful practices for accessing the Akasha. As you carve out time for exploring your own records, the information that surfaces may take on different forms. Perhaps you will receive sensory images, blooming symbols, or even visuals of certain locations. It can be helpful to keep a journal to record your findings. Navigating the Akashic records is similar to interpreting dreams. I think of it, that for me is doing journey work and dropping into the web and down into the caverns and into the different landscapes, right? So same thing, it's just a bit of a different language than what I connect to. But I just, when I was reading, especially the explanation, I'm like, okay, I just need to not worry about that term as not being my practice or my understanding, but understand what is that bigger, what is it symbolizing behind that. And it's just, it's an accessing of the web for me. Don't forget to have fun as you turn your gaze inward and look out for signs and synchronicities along the way. So they all, I believe all, I'm 99.9% sure, they all have 2 pages with, again, some keywords, an I statement, a transmission or sort of information download, a question, and then some illumination of what this might mean for you in a reading. And again, in the reading that I did for myself, I found this to be really helpful in tapping into the card that I drew. So I'll keep this up and we'll be looking at it as we go along. But that's an example of one of the entries. And then I think that's it until the end. She has model credits for certain people who were models for some of the cards. And then there's an about section about Danielle in the back, about the art, and a complete list of bibliography and charities that they support go here. And then her different things. Oh, here we can see. So that we have obviously the tarots that we talked about. She has a Starseed Oracle with Rebecca Campbell and a Work Your Light Oracle with Rebecca Campbell, and apparently a Yogic Path Oracle written by Sahara Rose, illustrated by Danielle Noel. And she's got some journals and a book on tarot, and then obviously this deck itself. So that's what we have here. Oh, that second card just gets me. Here in the bottom of the box, we have I am transformative, I am expansive, I am infinite, I am deep, I am intuitive, I am creative, I am a vessel of magic in the bottom there. And it is like a magnetic closure box. So that's that. Let's put that over there. Here are the backs, and look at the sides. Like, they're doing so much now with color sides, and sometimes it's absolutely amazing. This is one of those, sometimes it's absolutely amazing. It's a matte, beautiful ocean blue-green that's just gorgeous in person. And here's the back. You can see, obviously, it's kind of that ocean look. There is like a face seems to be like a face in the ocean right here, leading onward. So beautiful backs. Her production value on everything she does, especially the independent things, is just amazing. I, again, don't have any of the mass market. I know that Dawn Michelle I had just seen that she has one where she kind of talks about what she does with her, kind of all the decks that she has of hers. I don't think she talked about this one, but that I'll try to remember to put a link to that below. But she's done some things mixing some of the mass market decks that I thought was really interesting, so I'll put a link to that below. Okay, so here again, we just talked about the Akashic Waters, timeless wisdom, past life recollections, and activating dormant magic. So I love to have any sort of card that is going to tap me back into that past life work, because that's something that I work with a lot as well. I'll be interested to see if we have one that feels like a direct tie into ancestral. I think I saw one, because I do tend to try to find those cards, especially as I see myself using this deck. I would like one that I will kind of tie for myself to as an ancestor card. So here we have the Akashic Waters. Again, you can see most of the card, and it is, if you have the Moon Child, is this the same size? Almost. It is actually slightly wider. Here it's slightly wider. Then maybe you can see it better like this. If you have the Moon Child, it's the same height, but it is a little bit wider. I would say For me, this feels like a different cardstock. This is beautiful. It's matte, but it's a very silky matte. This isn't rose petal that we've all thought that we wanted, but we ended up realizing can be pretty sticky. But it leans towards the rose petal more than the Moonchild does. So I have shuffled it, and I don't remember it being bad. I wasn't paying close attention. We'll see. But it's definitely leaning towards a rose petal without being feeling like it's going to be too sticky, if that makes sense. So there we have the Akashic Waters. Sorry. I mean, look at this. Like, this is stunning. Like, this literally, if you follow me, if you know, you know, right? No, if you follow me, you know, I have had some amazing dreams with whales. And I spent all last year with sort of whale as a primary guardian. My primary spirit guardians or animal guardians are crow and wolf, and my watery depth in the caves is bear. But I had powerful dreams of being next to and swimming with a whale energy, and have had just an amazing experience that I think will continue for a very long time. And so this card just like, oh my goodness, how can I even, speak to anything of how it hits me? Sharing the divine frequencies of love and light, eternal beloved. And again, she gives you a transmission which seems a little bit more informational, right? It is said that whales and cetaceans have been present in our ocean since time immemorial. Some believe they arrived from the distant corners of the universe to serve as powerful guides and vibration keepers of Earth, and to assist with the soulful evolution of all life. When we become energetically sick as a collective, so too these beautiful creatures. Attuned to a sacred geometry of sound, light, and love, the cetaceans are true way showers of creation. A whale song can travel beyond 1,000 miles, transforming the greater molecular structure of the ocean. Compared to humans, these animals are small in number, yet they teach us something so incredibly valuable about the power of energy transference and love. Even in one, there is infinite potential for miracles. Together, we are limitless. Which is just really beautiful. Again, if you haven't laid on your back, flat on your back in a pitch dark room with really good headphones and listen to the sound, the singing of whales, it is just an amazing experience, and I think that we all should do so. This beautiful card. Astral Waters. This is about goddess energy, sacred temple, and reclaiming the divine feminine. Now, are there any, I'm going to put this aside and see if there are any that speak to the divine masculine. It is one of the issues that I have more with Danielle's decks. Again, not an issue with the deck in that she can make her deck be what she needs her deck to be. I believe that's what we should be doing when we create decks. But for me, I do like to have sort of the balance of energies, which you can feel in the Moonchild more so, I think, than her others. So while this is stunning, I'm interested to see if there's anything that could kind of go along with that. Here we have the Atlantean Dream, Rose-Tinted Ideals, Lost Information, Smoke and Mirrors. I actually really like this idea of Atlantean as sort of lost information, or where there might be information gaps. The destruction of Atlantis and the story of that is so powerful, whether you believe in sort of an Atlantean mythos that I think kind of ties in with starseeds and Akashic records and things like that or not. Just the story of Atlantis and the power of that, and the understanding of how much is lost beneath the ocean, so to speak, that we don't have all the information on, I think is a great card to have access to in a reading. It's just beautiful. I'm sorry, I don't think there's going to be a card that I don't say is beautiful. Unlocking Ancient Wisdom, Now, this is tied to Lemuria, which again, I don't know anything about, but this talks about remembering and returning, which I love for Beyond the Veil. I don't need to know or work with Lemurian energy to understand and apply my understanding of the greater dimensions of Beyond the Veil. Um, Now, I'm going to read this just because maybe we can, if some of you are like me and don't work with this paradigm, I guess would be the way to say it, we might learn something. There is a world that still lives on in the memories of many people today, shared with the beat of a collective heart. Perhaps you have heard its call or sensed it in wisdom rising. Lemuria, also known as Mu, M-U, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, is said to be an ancient paradise that existed millions of years ago that was home to a group of highly advanced beings. Widely believed to have been located in the Pacific Ocean, Lemuria shares interesting correlations with cultures surrounding this area. I mean, that's kind of Atlantean. I mean, people talk about that with Atlantis. So I don't know what the difference is in this ideology between Atlantis and Lemuria. Regardless, Lemurians lived in an absolute harmony with all life on Earth, thriving as a deeply spiritual pulse that connected every cell and living organism. All life communicated through a sentient language of love and creation, and it was a world that vibrated at a much higher frequency. Some would say it was angelic in structure or nature and resembled a proverbial Garden of Eden. Now lost to our surface world, Lemuria was believed to have been submerged during a great deluge. During this cataclysm, many Lemurians fled to the outskirts of the earth, shape-shifting into gentle creatures of the sea, air, and sky. Others went deep within the planet and populated places such as Telos, Mount Shasta, and other places that later became known as Agartha, the inner earth we know today. So again, I don't know anything about this language, right? But I know what it's speaking of, right? You can apply a similar story to the energy of the Fae, right? That it used to be prolific on the earth and then had to go inwards and back into the inner places and into the liminal spaces, right? So, and that can also connect to past life and ancestral energy. So while I don't know this paradigm of language around it, I understand what the energy of the card is. And so this is beautiful. Like, I can work with Beyond the Veil and not necessarily work with the understanding of Lemuria. Not that I'm opposed to that. Beautiful. And she explains it very well. So it's really interesting, and I think she did a good job, though, of allowing us to access what it is that means if we're not somebody who utilizes that language or that ideology set or that paradigm, whatever's the best way to put that, of seeing the world. I can still access the information that she is putting forward in the cards and apply it to the way that I speak to those same sort of understandings, right? So that's quite lovely. Beyond the Veil. I know I have to not do that for every card, but if it's something that I don't know, now it does look like this does have 3 pages here, as well as an extra image there. So it looks like some of the guidebooks are more than just the 2 pages. Here we have Celestial Waters, Heaven on Earth, and the Power of Prayer. I like the idea of, bringing heaven down to earth. Here we have Cleansing Waters, Sacred Vessel, Energetic Hygiene, and Releasing Blockages, using water to release blockages is beautiful. She talks in the illumination, water is a sacred container and transmitter. We can feel into this force. We can feel into this force in the physical sense through having direct contact with water, such as swimming, bathing, and showering, or connect with its elemental magic through the power of visualization or clearing rituals. So a need to cleanse that energetic space physically and energetically. I mean, this is just stunning, right? It's so simple, but it looks like clear waters. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. Here we have a convergence, which is really gorgeous. The meeting of two waters, a nexus point. The age of Pisces meets the age of Aquarius. The crossroads, right? You know, again, very beautiful. Convergence is an amazing card to have in reading energy of a situation. So I love that. This deep mystery is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I don't know if anybody's seen the new Avatar 2. I did go see it and I really, really loved it. I do think in some, you know, obviously this is, was kind of an ode to Pandora. Is it Pandora? I think it's Pandora by James Cameron. There's a beautiful slowness about a lot of it where it's really spending a lot of time in the waters with these amazing you feel like you recognize them, but also alien creatures, but and just down in the depths of the water. And in many ways it does feel like a bit of a love song to the ocean, even though this is an ocean on another planet. And so it just, yeah, it's just beautiful. There were scenes in that just really, because of that underwater and just the beauty and the power of an ocean, even if it's not an ocean on Earth, really hits home. And this is quite beautiful. Here we have the Divine Spiral, Blueprint of Life, Greater Outlook. I don't know what a Fibonacci sequence is, and a golden ratio. The sweet spiral of life is a sacred blueprint that can be found everywhere in the structure of our DNA, flowers, coral shells, even as far out as the galaxies above us. This intricate pattern is woven throughout the intelligent design of our universe, from the microcosm to the macrocosm, is all things and all life. It is truly remarkable. When we look to the spiral, we see a deep reflection of our ever-blossoming cosmos. It dances to the divine rhythm of cycles and seasons, the continuous rebirthing of energy. Its medicine expresses a beautiful message of expansion, tapping into the endless regenerative flow of creation. I mean, it's beautiful. Here we have the Dream Gate, which I love. This could be an amazing card for, again, journey work or doing dream work. I do like to do readings for myself over dreams because a lot of my dreams are journey work as well, or true dreams as I have grown up calling them. I think this is really beautiful, and it even says this card comes as a gentle ally to help open up a dialogue with your dream. So you could really do where you go in and sort of, you've had a dream, shuffle up, find this card, turn it over, find the card, and look on either side, and which is something I do with ancestor and even past life work. And so I think this would be an amazing card for that as well. And look at this, Earth Waters, spiritual grounding, energetic vortices, miraculous waters, and stargates. I am all for finding a stargate. I love that movie. Where and how am I being invited to ground my energy more? So obviously this is an ocean themed deck. So I love that, though, bringing in that energy of earth, even as we saw bringing in of heaven to earth. There is that bringing in an earth energy in this watery deck, and it's actually quite beautifully done. This is gorgeous. Like, this feels very like this emergent. Look at that. It's like starting small there, and then you have this emerging energy here. Integration, soul prism, echoes of time. Are there any patterns in my life that I seem to be repeating? Again, shuffle up, find this, look on either side. This would be amazing for, I'm getting so many ways to hit with this, to be able to tap into these types of energies. And emergence is a great card. Here we have Familiar Hearts, Positive Omens, Soul Family, Timeless Bonds, Unwavering Love. I think this is the one that I thought might be a good one for having as a ancestor card. The Akashic Waters is to do with past lives. The Ancient Emissaries you could even do for animal guardians, or even one other one that I saw there. I'm just making my piles. But I think this was, we'll see if a one comes up better for me than that, but I think that's the one that I would use for an ancestor card with familiar hearts. It's quite beautiful. Again, they're all beautiful. That's just kind of repetitive for me to say. Healing waters, regeneration, balance, restoration, and releasing attachments. How can I seek out more balance in my life to help support my overall health and well-being? This is gorgeous. Heart libations. Celebrating you, inner blessings, grounding devotion, gratitude. So really celebrating the power that is within you, kind of bear card in Lenormand. Inner alchemy, pearls of wisdom, thriving after difficulties, turning triggers into growth. Obviously, and I do actually like this lady laying here, because we know that pearls are made from irritations, and to stop from in the process of healing that irritation, the pearl is grown. And so, that's what we are. Who we are right now is a process of all the work that we've done to heal. So this is really quite beautiful, I think. Look at that inner compass. Does this not remind you of what is it? His dark materials. What the cover of one of Pullman? I'm blanking on it, but it's called His Dark Materials, and one of the books has, and they have soul sort of familiar, but it's part of their bodies. It's part of their essence of who they are. And one of them is a bear, and there's a book that this cover of the book that this reminds me of. Following your true north, soul purpose, and visionary quest. Like, connect to where you need to go and follow that compass. Inner sanctum, sacred retreat, and soul searching. Am I ready to carve out some solo time so that I can reconnect with my dreams? Kind of go inward, kind of hermity energy. Inner strength, like that's beautiful with that giant wave. Resilience, surrender, and expansion. I do like these little questions for a quick tap in. Where does my inner strength grow and expand? Here we have Lemurian waters, soul gifts, embodied alchemy, and abundance. If you feel strong familiarity with the lands of Lemuria, there is a knowledge now rising in the surface that wants your attention. Like crystals that contain the many whispers of time, some believe that our bodies also hold information in a similar way. As we each have the ability to transmit and absorb many frequencies, we are living conductors after all. This card indicates a time of significant spiritual growth and inner healing. It is a powerful omen that crosses many sands of time and wisdom teachings that have been long lost. You're being given a glimpse of ancient world that also exists within you. So it's a pulling up and pulling from those waters, kind of pulling from the waters of the High Priestess as well. This is beautiful. The Living Library. I mean, this is gorgeous. I love this. Opulence unfolding from within. How have the extremes I've moved through taught me to live? This is gorgeous, and it's got mermaids in it. How can we not love that? Luminous Path. A leap into the unknown, embarking on an adventure, the beginning of a cycle. So it feels very Fool-oriented. Lunar Waters. Living by the moon, the natural rhythms and the graceful flow of energy. Beautiful. Magnetic Heart. Like, look at that. Look at that. Grandmother Stingray. Trusting your feelings, empathetic support. The Earth's magnetic field extends thousands of kilometers into space, forming the great magnetosphere of the planet. Above and below, electric currents are also generate magnetic fields on the surface of our world, extending throughout the oceans. This invisible power affects all life and is tapped into by creatures that are hypersensitive. How can I trust my intuition more in order to support my energy flow? That is gorgeous. Again, I like her information download, and then her, then she goes into more sort of how can you gain some illumination from this in particular. Melusina, I'm not sure if that's are exactly how that's how I would say it. I love that this is here. This is unique expressions, authenticity, diverting from the crowd. The Melusines are sacred supernatural group of mer beings that are part fae and dragon. Thank you. Often depicted with two tails and wings, their elusive and mysterious story holds many theories and origin points that date back to the Middle Ages. The first Melusines were seen to have been the daughters of a Scottish king and a fairy known as Procene. After Procene decided to leave the king, she took her three daughters to the Isle of Avalon, where their magic sprouted and their mythology and folklore was spread. Melusines are also able to shapeshift into human form, and their fins appear once they immerse themselves in water. They are powerful wisdom keepers of ages past and act as intuitive intermediaries of the other world. As you open up more and express your own authentic blueprint, there may be initial fears of being judged or criticized. It may feel safe to keep your voice quiet and your inner light dimmed, but the world does not want you to remain small at this time. How am I being encouraged to come out of my shell? Here we have Mermaid. I mean, I'm all for a mermaid card, right? I create the magic I wish to feel and see. I am a bearer of secret knowledge. I am a bridge between the world. Song of creation and a lifting of the veil. I just love it. Mother Ocean, I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. Womb of the earth, grand Mother Ocean, seeing the interconnection of all. I love that there's a grandmother card. Move with ease. Like, this is beautiful because this is kind of similar to my dream, although with a whale, not with the shark. But I love that there is a shark in the deck as well. I actually really love shark cards. Shark animal guardian energy is so powerful. So I'm really glad to see that. Go with the flow. Feminine manifestation. I wish there was a little bit, I'll have to read through this more. We did already get something similar with going with the flow and feminine energy with the lunar waters. Natural rhythms, graceful feminine flow. So I'll have to read, but for me, I would have no issue. It's almost like the great panthers of the fizz of Earth under the water with the shark. So this natural grace and power. Oh my goodness. I just jumped so hard because somebody honked their horn right outside. There is such a power and a grace and a deliberate, focused energy to shark that I wouldn't personally feel the need to kind of repeat that energy of feminine manifestation. It's a different form of that, but that's a beautiful card. I'm really glad to see that there. Nectar of Life. This is actually the card that I pulled for myself at the center. Reclaiming abundance, returning to flow, releasing stagnant energies. I'm ready to and open to sort of renew energies, and I like that you can kind of see it almost like it's in a cup, but it's in the ocean. Very beautiful. No regrets. I mean, I think that speaks for itself. Growth, release, initiation, redirection, personal boundaries. Nurture yourself. That's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous with all like the sea anemones on the bottom. Anchoring in, stabilizing your energy, which she feels very, and even with the light kind of connecting down, so it's not so floaty. She feels very rooted and connected to the life at the bottom of the ocean here. Ocean Cradle is beautiful. Kind of reminds me of, there's a couple moon cards that I love where they're showing somebody like falling into the water and kind of partially submerged in the water, and it has that feeling. Creative spark, subconscious realm, tapping into unlimited potential with that rainbow coming out. oceanic beloved, soulmates, beloved friends, tenderness, grace, unconditional love, and sacred bonds. So family, friends. And it's great to have a card like that to tap into, reaching out for those people that are connected, you have that strong connection with. Also great for past life readings. I do think so, to me, that this deck could be really great for past life work as well. So I'm definitely going to be playing around with it in that way. Ancestral, past life, liminal space kinds of energies here. Here we have the open channel, psychic powers, sensitive nature, self-realization, trusting your steps. Kind of makes you feel like you're connective, right? Where do I need to extend my intuition more to help me come to a decision, making a choice, the two sides there. You can tap into that energy as well. Pearls of wisdom, choosing thoughts, mindfulness, believing is seeing, confidence. How can I be more gentle with my thoughts? Here we have protection. I think this is the only, if I can remember correctly, and I haven't, I'm not going through it in that capacity as yet. But I think this is the only male that I've seen in the deck. So, which is pretty par for the course again for her decks. Do I wish that there were more male representations? Yes. But it's not my deck, so that I'm going to put it out there just in case any other ones come out. But there we have a protection card, which I love to have. Energetic boundaries, personal space, cutting cords, soul contracts, recalibration. Like, I think these are great, especially if you work a lot with energy, and being aware of your energy and making sure that you're maintaining and doing the maintenance of the web maintenance, what I would call web maintenance, right? Of kind of cutting the threads that you need to cut, repairing things that are disconnected. So I like a recalibration card. Regeneration, transformation, dedication, structured magic. A restful pause. I like that. Just kind of a pausing, a number 4 kind of energy of just pause here for a minute. That doesn't mean there's not much more to head back out into, but we're just going to take a pause. I do actually quite love that. Rite of passage is gorgeous. That is beautiful. Swimming towards the horizon. The obstacle is the doorway, so you just have to get through the doorway. What final challenge am I now working through? That is a beautiful card. The sacred chalice. Heart chakra, goddess energy, divine gifts, wellspring of abundance. Can also be just that sacred chalice, that sort of holy grail, that sort of energy that you're taking, like heart and inner power, and taking that out or going out in search of it on a sacred mission kind of energy for me. This is beautiful. Sacred vow. Look at that with the sea creatures in the up into the cloud banks as well as in the hands. Every choice counts. Global transmissions, collective consciousness, microcosm, micro and macrocosms. How can I connect with Mother Earth more? That's just a beautiful card. Self-love. I do feel like we had a card of self-love that was really beautiful. I saw something with self-love. I thought it was like directly that. So I'll have to look. I do like to look where maybe there are sometimes recurring themes, which, you kind of want each of your cards to be doing something different. And a lot of times if you just kind of go back and read both of them, you can find a way to make it so that, you can find a different way of interpreting that. So I would see whatever the other one is, which of course I am not going to find. Celebrating you, inner blessings, ground us different. So I might be wrong. I felt like there's one that was similar to that. But it didn't, as my understanding, from my remembrance, it wasn't called self-love. So I would probably take that and lean into its other meanings. But I could be wrong on that. So I'll take a peek and see if it pops up again. But here we have self-love, deep magic, self-discovery, and awakening. It's a really cool card. Like it really does. I like the mirroring that she does do in many of her cards. Is really beautiful. I love the hair that's coming up. She's associating it with Aphrodite. Emerging from the foam of ocean. It was said that a white rose was formed with the waves of her birth. When Aphrodite later lost her beloved Adonis, a mixture of her tears and his blood produced a beautiful red rose, which has since become a universal symbol of the goddess. And then speaking again of talking more about self-care. Shadow Waters is gorgeous. Shadow work and introspection. Shapeshifter. This is beautiful. Oh, those are octopus. Octopi. Adaptability, versatility, dexterity, selflessness, divine intelligence, self-awareness, regeneration. As you know, I did spend a year with octopus energy as well. And so I love to see that. Shifting fear. This is really interesting. Interconnection, seeing past the surface, healing and misunderstandings. That idea of just being in a swirl of sharks like that and kind of having to work through that. Really cool. Sovereignty. This is beautiful with that swirl that we talked about in a different card here. But just that beautiful being underwater. Carefree nature, reclaiming your own power. How can I rise into my power? Some kind of energy with the way her arms are is sort of rising up and surfacing. That's beautiful. This is gorgeous. I love that there's a storm card. Again, if I'm using it in my port in the storm, I could actually find this card and pull the cards on either side. So that's beautiful. Temple of Dreams. Temptations, options, opportunities, illusion, all that glitters is not gold. So kind of Seven of Cupsy, right? Don't fall for the illusions, but find your actual dream and move towards it. There's several temples. So that's the Temple of Dreams. This is the Temple of Light. Light code activation, new downloads, sound as a sacred conduit. I did a workshop this past Sunday on energy and vibration and using like dowsing rods and pendulums. And so this is really beautiful because we understand this is all vibrations and energy and the movement and the interactions of energy. So I'm going to enjoy working with this one. Then we have Temple of the Sea. Full circle, dreams fulfilled, reaching the impossible integrations. So it is this sort of culmination of getting to where it is that you're trying to get to, which is beautiful. The Abyss card is stunning. Watch the movie. Do watch the movie. It's beautiful. Or not beautiful, but it's an amazing movie. But that's a beautiful card. Here we have The Calling. I like this, that kind of energy of, now this is benevolent guide, support, soul connections, and star family. What do my guides want me to know? This is the one that I was thinking for ancestor, although I love this familiar hearts, but no, this, I mean, look at that. Can you see all the different faces for your guides or your guardians? And for me, that's one and the same with ancestral work as well. So that is pretty cool. So yeah, that's the one I would use for that. Here we have the Source, which is beautiful, the card to have. Where is my power sourced? Look at the unveiling, is so beautiful. Sharing your spark, refining the vision, sowing the seeds of creation. What fuels my creative well? Total bliss. It looks like total bliss. Inner child, playfulness. I like that kind of a card of that. How can you just stop and put everything aside and just play by the edge of the ocean? Transcendence. I mean, that is just gorgeous. spiritual rebirth, cultivating stillness. It feels like she's literally standing in the water underneath the aurora borealis, which I would love to do. So I'm there. Transcendence, unconditional love. Cyrus B, I don't know what that means. Dolphin codes and acceptance. With the influx of Lemurian messages rising within the collective, dolphin wisdom is emerging even more. Returning to a place of playfulness. Our capacity to imagine allows us to build, invent, and create things. The great dolphin beings are true angels of this world. Many believe them to be carriers of the highest frequencies of our planet, as emissaries of the light matrix of Gaia. In story and myth, dolphins are said to be the shape-shifting spirits of ancient Lemurian souls, messengers of the gods, and rescuers to lost or troubled humans, among many other legends. So really leaning into the energy of dolphins. The Voyage, I mean, what amazing card to have. Your soul purpose, the journey that you're going to be going on, that long journey that you're taking. Water Priestess, that is beautiful. Returning to the temple, the subconscious. This feels very much like a High Priestess energy. Even kind of feels like there's pillars with the water there. And we have the Waves of Change. I love to have a change card there. And then lastly, we have the Whispers of Time, duality, parallel timelines, walking the path of your heart. What have I learned through the deep contrasts in my life? Life tends to flow in states of equilibrium. Duality shows us that every aspect of existence is defined through a balance of opposite forces, which allows definition to take place. Without the dark void of outer space, we would not see the stars. Without hitting our lowest points, we may never grasp our greatest potential. Interesting that this is being pulled. I'm trying to see where she's pulling this into. I like what she's saying about this card, but where she's saying, tying it into this Whispers of Time. Sometimes big dreams can seem frightening, but this is also a sign that change is brewing just beneath the surface. Every failure, every heartbreak, every misplaced step, every moment you ruminated with regret, they have all been slowly building the richness and wisdom that you now hold. Without the shadows, there would be no defined light to guide you forward. So I get that. I guess it's just giving yourself the grace of time to come into those true understandings that all of these different pieces of your puzzle of your life are coming and pulling together and giving definition, but that it takes time to get there. Is kind of, I guess, how I would go with that. So that's quite beautiful. So it's always odd to me with decks, like to me this is a very feminine water deck. And so it's kind of weird if you have all, have one single male. Maybe this isn't supposed to be a male, but it looks to me, I guess gender doesn't in that way much matter, but it just stands out as kind of odd when you don't have it and anything else. That I saw on a quick surface. So I find that always a little bit odd because we'll just roll with the fact that this is all a female deck. And it definitely feels very divine, feminine, very water as a grandmother ocean. There's no question that it has that overarching feel, although there is a lot of sea creatures as well, and some without anybody in them at all to kind of balance it out. But very beautiful. Let me scroll back up. We'll see. Again, I really felt because of all those things that I don't really work with Atlantean, Akashic, Lemurian, starseed framework. And because hers are mostly very, very much lean into divine feminine energy, which is great, and I do love decks like that, but I only need so many decks like that. I really wondered if this would hit the mark. But for me, on that first introspection and again, my first hit on energetic hit from looking at the cards just hit me at such of that deep, watery, all the things that call to the ocean, just hit me in those spaces. So I do feel like there is going to be a space for this that I pull from this for. And so we'll see. Only time will tell. Obviously, this is just a walk through first impressions. Here we have open channel. Akashic waters, again, that is that sort of transmission and that connection to past lives and past life patterns, and paying attention for me to, that's how I would interpret it. This is really dropping into the web and really opening myself up to that, all of the information, not just taking things at surface value, but going deep and really connecting into all of the information while being grounded. We have the grounding card of this very watery deck, but also being open to that information. Sometimes when we drop into the web and we are connected to all that energy, we are forced to get all the information, not just the information that we want, not just the information that's necessarily comfortable, but really having to be opening to the truths and the that's coming through, and we have to be open to that. And so it's an important time. If I got these cards in a reading, it would be an important time to be open to really connecting and gaining all of that information, and through that process, though, remaining grounded and rooted. Again, I pulled a reading for myself that was really powerful. I did some of that typical, I recommend with the deck, if you're like, okay, how's this going to work? Throwing down 3 cards and just hit what does it hit you with? Does it feel like you can? And when I do something like that, I'm always going to look to the center card as sort of the primary card. It's about not having regrets, right? And having to take that understanding of no regrets to a very internal space here. It's not just that surface level of not having regrets, but it is really going in and those things that you may be holding on to, hurts and things, and taking that understanding of that to a deep level. And then maybe this for me might be, remember the dream gate was very much about inspecting and listening to your dreams. So this might even be a call to do some journey work and to pay attention, maybe write your dreams down. Think about regrets and the things that you might still hold on to as regrets as you're going to go to sleep, and see if you can process some of that and do some journey work, whatever that looks like to you, right? To do that. So this for me would be a call of getting more information from in a journeying sense, and paying attention to some other messages that might be coming through about that. Apparently I cannot speak English tonight. So again, we'll see as we go along, but I do feel like something that feels like it could be very watery and very could that lend to being too much wateriness and too much just kind of flow and good energy, and not have enough to be cohesive to get a message out of, so that you really are better off just pulling a single card, which again, it would be very powerful to enter into these cards as portals. And I think that is going to be an amazing way to use this, pulling a single card, casting some charms on it, or pulling some runes or oghams. I think this deck would be beautiful for that. But from my experience playing around with it last night, and again today, I do actually think that you get pretty cohesive messages in 3-card pulls. So I'll have to come back to it after I play with it a little bit longer. But I'm optimistic about it. Let's take a quick peek before I go. I'm of 2 minds. I really would love to have it connect well with the Moonchild, but you can see how warm the Moonchild looks. But so it almost feels like the sun and the moon a little bit more here, even though this is called the Moonchild. And for me, it doesn't in the end really matter what a deck's called. Visually, it has that feeling of light and moonlight or watery light. I'm probably more likely to use this deck with it. I do think this is really beautiful with it as well. Although for size purposes, I'll grab the other one. And so let me just try how I would most likely use this. What about sizing with this? Is it the exact same? Yeah, so if you have sort of the earlier editions, that is the same size, but it obviously doesn't have any border, so the image is a little bit larger. So, you know, this would be like for a listen and do sort of ancestor reading. I would do my shuffle, 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 shuffle as per usual, and then turn around and find. I will say it's not sticky, so it's not. Here we go. Here's be my ancestor card. I would pull the card on either side. Obviously, I would be shuffling it more and with setting the intention of getting the message here that I need to sit and listen with. I did not do so, so this is not for me a real reading, but pull that. Again, the Temple of Dreams, speaking to making sure that you're not being distracted by illusions, making sure that you're really knowing what your heart's desire is and where you're trying to get to, and focusing there versus that sort of the illusions there, and finding our actual path, like looking up and my ancestors are asking me to contemplate and find that path. Again, I would, you know, be focusing on it more for an actual reading. And so that's to kind of just listen and pay attention. You don't really have to do anything about this right now, but just hear this. This deck is been in order, so it's going to take more shuffling than a little bit, but I just want to, for the sake of this. And then the do part is the much more active part when I do an ancestor reading here. And again, the middle card is sort of the main card for me. So here's the Knight of Swords, which makes sense, right? With finding your path. What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? I'm supposed to be focused in and heading out. This is action oriented, getting out and doing, taking what's going on in the headspace and honing that into action. With the Queen of Swords, I need to make some changes so that my mind can be clear and sharp as a razor. And I need to make some changes in the physical earth in order to allow that energy to grow, clear some space, clean my desk, clear off my computer, get ready to do some work from a clear space, but pull from that spark or that spark of power that is within, because the cups is obviously, again, you're emotional, but below that, that's where our inner power. So it's very head oriented, but drawing from the full potential of the suit of water with the ace here. Again, this isn't an actual reading, so I'm just riffing, but this is beautiful, and I definitely would, I think, utilize this. I think I would just, maybe it would give me a reason to use that deck versus, let me just, you know, randomly throw down. Again, things don't have to be super, super matchy. I like that the other one is the exact size. I wouldn't be opposed to using this with it. This is just playing now, right? Obviously, you can use whatever you want for readings, but I do, on a couple of my readings, like the real connective matchy, but I like that there are the borders here that whole kind of stand it off as something separate. So I think it will give me I'm going to keep the obviously this always stays out, but I'm going to keep out, I do prefer the magnetic box to this, because if I make this mistake, it can be hard sometimes to get it out. This always stays out for other purposes, but I think I'll actually leave the Star Child out to work with while I'm working with this deck. And it might, again, give me a reason to have that deck out and about. I probably got things all mixed up. Nope, that goes here. And that goes here. Okay, that's just kind of playing around. If you've got decks that match, it's kind of fun. And it gives me a reason to pull this out. So I hope that you have enjoyed this and taking a look at this deck if it's been something that has interested you. And I wish you an absolutely wonderful rest of your day.